In recent months, a cloud of controversy has begun to settle over one of Hollywood's most beloved figures, Blake Lively. Known for her iconic roles, glamorous red carpet appearances, and seemingly perfect marriage to Ryan Reynolds, Blake has long enjoyed a carefully curated image of elegance and charm. But now, a sudden shift in public perception has sparked a wildfire of questions. What happened, and more importantly, why now? It all started with a series of growing concerns raised by online creators, commentators, and independent journalists, who claimed they were being unfairly targeted for speaking out. While none of the allegations are criminal, the wave of legal warnings, cease and desist letters, and quiet takedown requests aimed at YouTubers and TikTokers have left many wondering if Blake Lively's team is actively trying to silence online criticism. Some say it's a strategic move to protect her brand at any cost. Others argue it's a dangerous precedent that threatens freedom of commentary in the age of digital media. Whether intentional or not, the ripple effect has been massive. Creators are pushing back, viewers are taking sides, and the press is beginning to ask tough questions. In this deep dive, we'll explore every side of the issue: how it started, what's being alleged, who's speaking out, and whether this could mark a turning point in Blake Lively's public reputation. Could the very tactics meant to protect her image now be damaging it more than anyone expected? Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see celebrity influence, digital freedom, and the real price of staying silent. For over a decade, Blake Lively has been the epitome of Hollywood elegance. From her breakout role in Gossip Girl to her red carpet dominance and her charming relationship with Ryan Reynolds, she built an image that few could criticize. She seemed untouchable, not in the sense of arrogance, but in the way fairy tales are. Her social media presence was carefully managed, often sprinkled with humor, advocacy, and lifestyle inspiration. She championed women's rights, mental health awareness, and family values. Brands aligned with her not just for her beauty but for the consistent positivity she exuded. But 2020 ushered in a different climate, one where public figures face heightened scrutiny, not just for what they say or do, but also for how their teams operate behind the scenes. In this case, it wasn't Blake Lively's words that ignited controversy, it was the silence followed by action. It began with whispers from smaller content creators. TikTok users and YouTube commentators began sharing stories of their videos being flagged demonators, or even removed without clear explanation. A few received legal threats or cease and desist letters. The common denominator, many of them had discussed Blake Lively, or more specifically speculated on the increasing involvement of legal teams representing A-list celebrities in managing online narratives. One YouTuber who runs a mid-sized commentary channel released a video titled, "Why Are Blake Lively's Lawyers Watching Us?" The video didn't make accusations, it simply raised questions. Within days, it was removed for defamation despite never stating anything as fact. That event triggered a domino effect. More creators came forward. Some feared legal retaliation, others stood firm. A movement began to take shape, not an attack, but a growing resistance to what they saw as digital censorship. These creators didn't all share the same opinions about Blake. Some admired her work, some critiqued it. But the issue wasn't about opinion, it was about the perceived attempt to control it. And in a world where freedom of expression is a cornerstone of digital culture, that kind of pressure doesn't go unnoticed. As more takedowns occurred, viewers started asking, what is Blake Lively trying to hide? It's a fair question, even if the answer is complicated. It's not about scandal, it's about perception. Was this really about stopping misinformation, or was it about silencing valid, if uncomfortable, conversations? The entertainment industry has always protected its stars. Publicists, lawyers, and crisis management experts work around the clock to preserve an image. But in the social media age, the lines have blurred. Commentary is no longer limited to late-night talk shows or tabloid columns. Now, anyone with a phone can spark a conversation that reaches millions. This shift in power has caused tension between celebrities and creators. For decades, Hollywood stars were the ones with the platform. But today, influencers, podcasters, and independent reporters hold just as much sway, sometimes more. When a celebrity pushes back, the question becomes, are they defending themselves or trying to control the narrative? Let's take a closer look at one particular case that accelerated the controversy. A legal analyst on TikTok who uses public court documents to discuss celebrity legal news posted a short video analyzing the wording of a court-related filing involving Lively's team. She didn't speculate on motives. She didn't make allegations. She simply read and interpreted what was publicly available. The result, her video was reported taken down for privacy violations, and her account was briefly suspended. This led many to speculate whether legal teams were not only monitoring online content, but actively seeking to remove anything remotely critical, even if it was factual. Of course, legal experts pointed out that privacy laws can be complex. Public figures to retain certain rights, especially when misinformation is involved. But when legal tools are used to suppress neutral discussion or factual commentary, it raises red flags. Some creators began calling it the Lively effect, a term coined to describe the sudden takedown or demonetization of content even loosely related to her image. Again, this wasn't necessarily Blake herself making these decisions, but the perception that her team was behind it created a backlash that quickly spiraled. Blake's silence didn't help. While it's understandable that a celebrity might not want to respond to every rumor or video, her lack of public comment began to feel like avoidance to some viewers. Transparency often disarms criticism. Silence can amplify it. It's important to note that none of the content in question accused Blake Lively of any crime. This wasn't a scandal in the traditional sense. There was no viral video of inappropriate behavior, no leaked emails, no explosive expose. Instead, the controversy was rooted in something more nuanced, something more modern. It was about control. And in the current digital landscape, control is a delicate issue. Content creators rely on freedom of speech, fair use, and the ability to discuss public figures, especially when they're shaping culture and influencing millions. When that space is interfered with, it sends a message that discussion itself is under threat. Of course, Blake Lively isn't the first celebrity to face this dilemma. Taylor Swift, Meghan Markle, even Beyoncé have all been subjects of online speculation and at times legal involvement. But in most of those cases, the public statements made by the celebrities helped to draw lines defining what was fair, what was invasive, and what crossed ethical boundaries. Blake, however, remained quiet. No interviews, no Instagram statements, no acknowledgement of the rising tension. And in a world where silence often gets filled by speculation, that strategy may have backfired. By the time mainstream media began covering the story, the narrative had already shifted. Articles with headlines like "Content creators push back against celebrity legal pressure" and "Is digital free speech under attack?" began appearing. Blake Lively's name was mentioned not in scandal, but in debate. Some commentators defended her. They argued that she had every right to protect her image from harmful speculation. They pointed out that misinformation spreads fast and can be damaging, especially for women in the public eye. They suggested that what was happening was less about silencing criticism and more about setting boundaries. But others weren't convinced. They pointed to the increasing number of creators, many of them small independent voices, being silenced without clear justification. They noted that none of these creators were making wild claims or spreading conspiracy theories. Most were offering commentary, opinion, or legal analysis, all of which falls under fair use. This tension between celebrity image control and the democratization of media isn't going away anytime soon. And Blake Lively, perhaps unintentionally, has become a case study in what happens when those two worlds collide. Her brand, once defined by fashion, films, and family, is now being quietly redefined by her relationship to the media that surrounds her, not just legacy outlets, but the millions of voices online who help shape public perception. As we move into the next part of this investigation, we'll look more closely at the legal side of things. What rights do celebrities have when it comes to online commentary? What protections do content creators have? And Are the systems currently in place fair? To both sides, this story is far from over, and it's not just about Blake Lively anymore. It's about how power is shifting in the digital age and who gets to decide what the public sees, hears, and believes. As the conversation around Blake Lively intensified, it became clear that this wasn't just about one celebrity's image. It was about the growing tension between celebrity rights and digital commentary freedoms. With content creators pushing back against perceived censorship, the legal system found itself in the crossfire. Oh, how did this dynamic escalate, and where do the actual boundaries lie? To begin with, it's important to understand the legal framework celebrities operate under. Public figures, including actors like Blake Lively, do have certain protections under defamation, privacy, and intellectual property laws. However, those protections are more limited than what private individuals enjoy. That's because public figures voluntarily step into the spotlight and are, by legal standards, subject to greater scrutiny. The landmark case of New York Times Co. v. Sullivan in 1964 established that public figures must prove actual malice to win a defamation case. This means the person spreading information must have done so knowingly or with reckless disregard for the truth. This sets a high bar, which is why most celebrities rarely pursue full defamation suits unless the stakes are serious. Instead, what often happens is a quieter, more strategic form of image management: preemptive legal warnings, takedown requests, and cease and desist letters. These actions don't necessarily mean someone has broken the law, but they serve as a deterrent. The threat of litigation alone can pressure smaller creators to delete content even if it falls under fair use. And that's exactly what content creators in the Blake Lively situation began reporting. A rising number of independent YouTubers, TikTokers, and even bloggers shared that their posts were being flagged, removed, or shadow banned after covering topics involving Blake or her inner circle. In some cases, they were told their content constituted reputational harm, even though the material cited public sources, used disclaimers, and clearly marked opinions versus facts. One of the more detailed cases came from a law-oriented YouTube channel that broke down legal filings related to a lawsuit involving a media company and a celebrity PR firm. While Blake Lively was only indirectly connected, her name was mentioned in the context of broader industry practices. Shortly after publishing, the creator received a notice from YouTube about potential violations of platform guidelines. He appealed, but the video remained demonetized. What was striking about this trend was how widespread it became. The creators weren't coordinated. They didn't all share the same viewpoint. But they began to notice a pattern when certain celebrity names, particularly Blake's, were included in content, especially if legal language was involved. The chances of takedown increased. This raised a bigger question: is the law being used as a shield or a sword? Some experts argue that legal teams have a duty to protect their clients, especially when misinformation threatens their image or mental health. In an era of viral content, even a baseless claim can reach millions in hours. And unlike traditional journalism, social media doesn't always require fact-checking before posting. So it makes sense that legal reps would want to act fast, even preemptively. But critics counter that not all commentary qualifies as harmful. In fact, many videos under scrutiny weren't spreading falsehoods, they were offering critical perspectives, analyzing court documents, or interpreting public behavior. Under fair use doctrine, especially in the U.S., such content is usually protected. Add to that the First Amendment and things become even more complicated. This intersection of celebrity image management and legal leverage is new, but it's more visible than ever before. Social media has democratized media, giving everyday users the power to shape narratives. And when celebrities push back using legal means, the backlash can be swift. In Blake Lively's case, the perception that her team was overreaching, whether accurate or not, has started to impact her public image. Viewers who once saw her as apolitical and charming now wonder why her name is suddenly tied to silencing commentary. And for some, the very act of targeting creators feels like a betrayal of the trust fans once placed in her One Entertainment. Attorney speaking anonymously to a media outlet noted that the tactics used by celebrity teams are rarely personal, they're strategic. For a publicist or legal rep, the client's image is a brand. It's not about punishing creators, it's about minimizing risk, he said. But the tools they use, like takedown notices or cease and desist letters, can feel heavy-handed to people who aren't in that world. That tension between legal strategy and public perception is where things get messy. Let's explore. An example: suppose a content creator produces a 10-minute YouTube video titled "Why Blake Lively's PR Strategy Could Backfire." The video includes clips from interviews, public appearances, and articles, all attributed. The creator includes a disclaimer at the beginning: "This is my opinion," and commentary based on publicly available information. Under the doctrine of fair use, this content is likely protected. But if the celebrity's team deems the tone or conclusions as damaging, they might issue a complaint to YouTube, cite terms of service violations, or claim reputational harm. YouTube, facing potential legal complications, may take action even if the video doesn't technically break any laws. This is where creators feel they're losing control. The platforms YouTube, TikTok, Instagram often side with caution. Their moderation systems are automated, their appeals process is slow, and their risk tolerance low. As a result, even lawful commentary can be suppressed if it triggers enough complaints from well-resourced parties. In response to this trend, digital rights advocates have begun calling for clearer protections for online commentators. Organizations like the Electronic Frontier Foundation have argued that fair use is under threat not by court rulings but by back-end pressure from powerful interests. Blake Lively, for her part, has not issued any public comment about the situation. And to be fair, she may not even be directly aware of all the legal actions being taken in her name. Like many celebrities, she likely relies on a team of agents, publicists, and lawyers to handle these matters. But perception matters, and right now the perception is that her brand is becoming less approachable, less transparent, and more controlled. Some fans are disappointed, others are conflicted. And if you are even organizing, hashtags like #creators deserve for use and #let creators speak have emerged across TikTok and X, formerly Twitter, drawing attention to the broader issue of creator rights. One viral video summed it up perfectly: this isn't about hate, it's about fairness. If celebrities can use their teams to scrub any content they dislike, what happens to accountability? What happens to commentary analysis or even fan conversations? To understand this fully, we need to consider the bigger picture. As Hollywood increasingly intertwines with digital culture, the old rules don't apply in the same way. Public figures now exist in real-time conversations, not just carefully planned magazine covers or interviews. And audiences expect more transparency, not less. In the past, celebrities controlled their image through official channels. Today, their image lives in thousands of micro-moments: TikToks, live streams, podcasts, debates, reaction videos. It's dynamic, not static. Trying to control the image the old-fashioned way through legal pressure can sometimes do more harm than good. As we move forward in this series, we'll explore how other celebrities have navigated similar challenges and what lessons can be learned. We'll also look at the role of public relations firms, platform moderation policies, and the growing power of collective voice among content creators. Because in the end, this story ain't just about Blake Lively, it's about how the media is evolving, how creators are finding their power, and how celebrities must adapt or risk being seen as part of the problem rather than the solution. As the dust settles around the growing debate involving Blake Lively and the content creators who claim to have been unfairly targeted, one thing becomes increasingly clear: we are witnessing a shift in the way celebrity control and commentary intersect in the digital age. This situation is not just a story about a beloved Hollywood star facing public scrutiny. It's a broader reflection of the power dynamics that now define our online spaces. Where once celebrities existed almost exclusively within the boundaries of polished interviews and press statements, They now coexist with independent voices, reaction channels, legal analysts, fan theorists, and cultural critics, all with platforms of their own. Blake Lively, by most accounts, may not have directly orchestrated any of the legal actions or takedowns that are being discussed. However, as the face of a brand that thrives on authenticity, charm, and public goodwill, the perception that her image is being aggressively managed, especially at the expense of smaller creators, has raised serious concerns. The public has evolved. Today's audiences value transparency, open discussion, and the freedom to engage with celebrities in a way that feels human and real. When legal teams and PR firms step into silence or suppress conversation even when done lawfully, the result is often the opposite of what's intended. Instead of controlling the narrative, it amplifies questions, suspicions, and backlash. For content creators, this saga is a reminder of both their vulnerability, their collective power. While individually, they may not have the resources to resist legal pressure, together they represent a significant force in shaping modern narratives. Their audiences are not passive viewers, they are engaged, informed, and increasingly willing to question the systems behind the scenes. So, where does this leave Blake Lively? She still has the chance to reset the conversation. A single, thoughtful statement acknowledging the concerns without admitting to any wrongdoing could shift the tide. Transparency doesn't mean conceding guilt. It means recognizing the value of dialogue in a world where silence often creates more noise than words ever could. Ultimately, this controversy may serve as a pivotal case study for other celebrities navigating similar waters. The old rules of fame no longer apply. Control can no longer be achieved by limiting conversation. It must be earned by participating in it honestly. Whether Blake Lively's image has been destroyed is a question only time and the public can answer. But what's certain is that the digital landscape has changed, and with it the expectations placed on public figures. The new era of celebrity demands accountability, openness, and respect for the voices that make up the cultural conversation. Whether you're an A-list star or an independent YouTuber, the message is the same: the truth can't be managed forever. It must be engaged with head-on.